Kola mecha wawelo hey o ampaweke et khayana wawelo hey o ate wawelo Khokashela mecha wawelo hey o wa maya kaya mecha wawelo hey o khola wawelo hey o ampaweke et khayana wawelo hey o ate wawelo hey khokashela mecha wawelo hey o wa maya kaya mecha wawelo hey o khola wawelo hey khola mecha wawelo
And that is Mr. Earl Bullhead, Lakota Dream Song. And we have Rebecca on the line. And how are you this evening?
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Hey, thank
you for bringing me on the show today.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I would give you a chance to introduce yourself. And then I would love to be able to talk a little bit about what's going on Mother's Day and other things that are on your heart. I would love to first give you a chance to introduce yourself. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Well, I'm honored to be here, and I had a lifelong interest in protecting sacred sites and cultural heritage. And right now I'm serving as a global council trustee for an organization called the United Religions Initiative. And we seek out best practices for interfaith and intercultural engagement around the world. And at the heart of what we do is helping to amplify the voices of those whose voices are underserved. And one of the ways is in the UN system. And that's how I'm connected with Chief Looking Horse and the work that he's been doing to protect sacred sites.
And I know on Mother's Day there's going to be, that's May 11th, that's next weekend, that there's going to be a gathering in Central Park in New York City on Cherry Hill Fountain. I'm not really sure where that is. I haven't been in New York in a long time. But I can read what it says here, and then we can talk a little bit about what people can expect. It says, on Mother's Day, you and your loved ones are invited to share in a ceremony with Chief Arvol Looking Horse, the 19th generation keeper of the white buffalo calf pipe bundle, who will call forward a special blessing honoring Mother Earth and the Horse Nation at Cherry Hill Foundation in Central Park, New York. All are welcome. And let's see here. I don't know how to say the young lady's name. Is it Takaya?
Takaya Blaney of the Sliammon First Nation from the Coast Salish people here in British Columbia. I'm located in British Columbia as well. And Donna Augustine, Thunderbird Turtlewoman of the Mik'maq Nation, will be joining us as well. And we have others committed to take part in sacred ceremony. And all those folks who are coming are deeply involved in protecting sacred sites. And it is going to be a lovely evening beginning at 6 o'clock. We are going to have people from many nations come and bring ceremony alongside Arvol, who will be leading. And it goes from 6 o'clock till 8 p.m. And everyone is invited to come. Bring family, please. Come along. And it will be a special blessing for Mother Earth. And we have many co-sponsoring organizations who are bringing members to come. Because on Monday, the day after, is the opening of the permanent forum on Indigenous issues. So we have people who will be in the New York area from around the world be part of the forum.
Yeah, I was reading here how the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues and will be leading a panel entitled Protecting and Restoring Sacred Sites under the guidance of First Peoples Culture, Spiritual, and Legal Heritage Keepers, which takes part on Tuesday, May 13th. And Blue Star, can't read that. And then Unify, United Religion Initiative, Olakota Foundation, and the World Peace and Prayer Day are some of the sponsors. So can we talk about a little bit what people are going to expect when they show up in Central Park?
Sure. Folks are going to come, some folks are going to be coming with horses, and Blue Star Aquaculture has Blue Star Aquaculture has a working organic farm, and they also have been supportive of keeping horses in the spaces, in New York spaces, in Central Park, in the park area. So they will be coming, folks will be arriving either by carriage or on horseback, and we will have ceremony around the fountain itself. And it will begin, we hope, promptly at 6. Some people are going to be congregating at 5:30 outside the gates of the park and then coming along to enter. So we begin at 6. And we also have the support of Unify.org. Unify has been promoting many of the programs that Chief Arvol has been part of. Again, they are interested and they are connected around the world in creating meditations for the water, for the earth, for us to really live in sacred balance with one another. We did a beautiful program that they promoted for World Water Day, which was March 22nd. And there was a special blessing that took place in Central Park as well with the blessing of Chief Arvol for the Horse Nation. So we expect it to be a family. It's a family event. All are invited, and we will have many members of Indigenous peoples groups from around the world who are taking part to make ceremony and in giving thanks for Mother Earth.
Absolutely, in a time that we really need to all work together. The importance of bringing us into a sacred space so we can all move forward and help heal this planet that we live on, and as we know that it needs help, it needs us to be in right relationship with her. So
yeah,
okay.
That right relationship. I'm of the belief that right relationship is the natural relationship that we've all been denied access to. Through what modernity has done, is it's granted all kinds of reasoning for that distance, and the reasoning has little to do with the intrinsic naturalness of what we know is the connection, which is our interdependence with the earth and the interdependence of our relationship to one another. I think it's intrinsic to us, and we're remembering it. We're putting it back together. We're putting ourselves back in right relationship, as you mentioned, Brian, in right relationship.
Yeah.
So please excuse me here.
No,
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. And it's just important for us to know that this was all a gift from Creator a long time ago, and now that we're coming back through the like Trudell calls it, the programming that everyone has been put under, to do the things that are happening to Earth now. It's what you just said. It's really important for us to come back into remembering how to work with the Earth and know that she's the source of all life and not a resource, as Arvol would say.
As Arvol would say. And that is the title and the theme of the panel where Arvol will be teaching at the UN is going to take place May 13th, which is Tuesday, May 13th. We do have a room secured at the UNDP at 1:15 p.m., but we're seeking out a larger room because we've had a lot of really wonderful response, because this protecting and restoring sacred sites under the guidance of First Peoples cultural, spiritual, and legal heritage keepers there'll be a lot of room for discussion. Sacred sites are compromised by climate change. They're compromised by armed conflict, by the threat of the extractive industries, the tourism industry. Peoples don't have access to sites, and it's important for us to not only discuss the protection of them and access to them, but actually how is it that we can increase the opportunity for people to pray at their sacred places, in all of our sacred places, and also to increase knowledge as to what is sacred, what is a sacred place. Many, many people in many places in the world don't have an understanding, and the leadership of heritage keepers and the knowledge of heritage keepers needs to find its way to be communicated, to have this knowledge communicated in places, through museum programs, through programs that have to do with the Bureau of Land Management. There's been the programs through the State Department, through countries, the cultural ministries of culture in countries around the world. Need to increase the opportunity to have conversation with Indigenous people, to chronicle sacred sites, and to make them available through mechanisms that exist. And so we're going to discuss how to do that, how to chronicle those, where these repository for this information, where these repositories can be, where they are, where they exist, how they can better exist in the United States and Canada specifically, and how we can create more opportunity for these sites to be accessed for prayer.
Absolutely. It makes me think of Vine Deloria Jr. when he was among us, and he spoke about how these sacred sites, when we go to minister to them, as much as we need to minister to them, they need to minister to us, that relationship, and how we need to get through the commercialization of it and come back into the sacredness of it, to see that these places, we need these places in order for us to, for myself anyways, to move forward. These sites, like the Black Hills, is the heart of the Lakota people, and that sacredness there where they go to pray, they're holding these spaces for us, and can't remember who told me or if I read it, but I know that the Coogee were here not too long ago, and they were talking about protecting our spaces and coming back into that right relationship I was talking about, and working through the, I guess, anger that has happened that's stopping these sites from flowing.
These sites are blocked up, as you say, around the world. I had a conversation early this morning with a representative from Iraq, a young woman who works with the Assyrian Aid Society, and the Assyrian people have had a culture for 12,000 years or more, and their sacred sites are compromised in the Middle East region, and their language, their culture, their ability to practice their faith, to practice their traditional knowledge, to share their knowledge with their young people. All of this it keeps not only their ability to be in connection with their ancestors from the past, but it blocks the opportunity for the future to be revealed for folks that are of that culture. Sacred sites are an open door. They're the conduit, yeah? They're the place where the past and the future communicate, and we are able to connect. When we are able to connect with them, then we are fully present as beings, as human beings. Our divinity, the essence of our spirit has been given to us by the Creator, has been loaned to us by the Creator. And these sacred sites are places where we find this energy, and this profound energy gives us the opportunity to be connected to the past and the future. And in the world, the material world is very important, but giving honor to what brought us before, to those that came before us, and those that dreamed us into being and that loved us into being, deserve our care and our respect. And we can live side by side with the material world, and there are mechanisms for that. And we're going to have some practical conversations about how to make this possible during this panel discussion.
Absolutely, because I just keep on thinking about all the old ones that have gone before us that paved the way, and then what you're talking about at the human being. That's what we have to come back into, to see each other as a human being first, and then we could see that our that divinity that you're talking about, the sacredness, that we all are walking with that. And once we come back into that space, I think that we can talk, and really, we have I know in my heart we have the ability to move forward in a good way without destroying Mother Earth, to work with Mother Earth, and for me to stop that madness that is happening, the XL pipeline and dumping in the water and all these things that are there. I believe and I know that we if we work together in protecting the earth, we'll start with sacred sites and among other places. The whole earth is holy, and we need to start taking care of her better than we have been. And I think that you're right. I'm hoping that to hear a little bit more about some of the discussions that happen on May 13th. I hope that there'll be some video or something that we could look at and know what's going on.
Well, one of the proposals that's going to be put forward by Chief Looking Horse has been one of his dreams, and has followed him forward. He's carried forward a proposal to create a Sacred Sites Day that would be honored by the United Nations, and we're seeking to speak about and posit June 21st, World Peace and Prayer Day, as a United Nations Sacred Sites Day, Sacred Sites and Cultural Heritage Day. Last November, when we were meeting at the United Nations with the chair of the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, we had spoken to Chandra Roy Hedrick and asked about the possibility of this, and saw that there was an opening on the UN calendar for June 21st to be considered as UN Sacred Sites World Peace and Prayer Day. So we'll be talking about that on the panel as well. And it isn't just a feel-good idea. The more opportunity that there are to bring conditions, to bring the practical conditions of sacred sites to the forefront, to the conversation, anywhere and everywhere, then they will be honored. These sites will be honored. They'll be better understood and better protected. So I hope you're going to be hearing more of that. So as we put out this call for June 21st, Sacred Sites Day, we'll be seeking member states and missions to support along with this recommendation. So in order for it to be voted on, it needs to be warmly welcomed. So that conversation begins May 13th. So you will be hearing more.
Okay, and what can we do? I mean, other than we can write, I know, to the UN. Is there anything else that we could do to help petition that day?
Honestly, the first feeling, the first idea that came to my mind is to continue to uphold World Peace and Prayer Day as in the spirit to which it was put forward, and helping to support World Peace and Prayer Day this year will be very, very helpful. And there will be much talk about the proposed resolution at World Peace and Prayer Day, and we can follow it along on the website and speak about the protection of sacred sites. There are protective signs that are adopted by UNESCO, and we are going to be talking about those signs, which are meant to protect sites that are compromised, that are under threat, and to share knowledge about that. And there's a particular protective sign called the Blue Shield, which was adopted by the Hague, as a treaty signed at the Hague in 1954, and the U.S. and Canada have become signatories. Learn about these protective signs. Learn about the Roerich Banner of Peace, which is meant to protect also culturally active sites in the United States and 23 nations. It's important for us to become aware of what's already been posited, what's been put out there to protect sacred sites. And again, we're going to be using the World Peace and Prayer Day Facebook page and website to speak more about how you can help to support the proposed resolution, these protective signs to protect sites themselves, and how you can participate in speaking in your community about protecting sacred sites.
Absolutely, and I know that I'll myself be sending those web pages out and sharing with our relatives all over. For my heart to just know that the work is being done to help protect our earth, and for all 7 generations ahead of us, all our children that are here and the ones that are coming, and very important to just very important. And it's worldpeaceandprayerday.com. You can check that web page out. And we got a few more minutes, Rebecca, and I was just wondering is there anything that is on your heart? I'm sorry, my nose is really stuffed up all of a sudden. So if there's anything on your heart that you would want to share that we haven't talked about, love to give you that time, and I really do appreciate you calling in and sharing with us.
Thanks. I share with you, Brian, and with many of your listeners, all of your listeners, I'm sure, that this is an all-hands-on-deck moment in creation. I was going to say our history, but I stopped myself, because it's not just about the people. All of creation is in a state of compromise right now, and it's been placed in a state of compromise by forces that have not considered the other members of creation. And those of us who do, or those of us who have now stopped to consider them and us and we, are working together. I'm seeing cooperations that are beyond anyone's. It was, as many say, prophecy from many walks of life and many traditions, by the way, of this time of great imbalance, and that peoples from all walks of life, from all colors, from all parts of the world, would serve to help protect and restore that which is sacred. And I'm encouraged by what I see. I'm encouraged by what I saw in Washington, D.C., with the First Nations peoples coming together, and the ranchers and the farmers, shoulder to shoulder, allowing themselves 4, 5, 6 days in Washington and opening their teepees and their tents and teaching about the degradation and the illness and the compromise and the cancer and what Keystone is going to bring to us if it is allowed to be built. It is already in the United States, the American people had little understanding. Many of the people who I spoke to who were taking part in that teach-in in Washington really were gratified to go to be able to teach. That so many people asked questions, that there was not a clear picture, and people from all walks of life were willing to open their mind and to open their heart and be educated by one another, to learn that we're all in this together and that we're all being compromised by the condition of these pipelines and this poisonous bitumen coming from Alberta that's proposed to come through the United States to the Gulf of Mexico. So I'm encouraged to see this, and living here in Vancouver, Canada, there's a great deal of cooperation between First Nations and peoples who have opened with the same model. The First Nations have really offered the opportunity for great teaching, and people have come to open door, open policy situations, open communication meetings. All kinds of events have been put together, and people from all walks of life are working together. Because we have the same situation. We've got a very serious pipeline coming through Canada, and the Enrich pipeline, and here at the inlet, at the Burrard Inlet, and also up in Kitimat, we've got the Northern Gateway pipeline and the Kinder Morgan pipeline here in the inlet of in Vancouver, in Burrard Inlet. So the people are coming together and they're working together because there's a clear understanding that we were all at risk.
Absolutely, it makes me think of what Uncle Harold Belmont has said. We need each other. We just don't know how much we need each other. And I feel that, and I know that the nations in Canada are really strong, and they're coming together. I hear from Phil Lane a lot about what's going on there, and yourself and many others, Reuben, George, many others are on the front line. And I know here in this part of the Northwest that the Coast Salish tribes here have united here and to make sure that there's nothing coming through this area, because that saying that we're all in the canoe together, we either can sink or we can pull, is really true. And we need to work together. And I think what you just said is amazing to me, because the ranchers and the tribal folks got together. And to me, that's a huge healing that's happening.
Yes, it's a huge generational healing. And this great cooperation that's taking place between the First Nations of Canada and in the United States. I mean, Reuben George, I was with him. We were with Uncle Phil last night, and with Reuben, and we're very proud of the message that he brought in front of Carrie's home and in Washington. The very, very important message that you can't put a price on the sacred. That we can't put a price on the sacred. But people needed to hear that again, and they needed to hear it in Washington. And I think it was respected. What took place in Washington was great ceremony over 4 or 5 days. It was ceremony. It was ceremony and social intervention. It was not protest. It was really an open hand and an open heart in everyone who took part, really. With the kinds of, if you read from blogs or from any of the media reports, the feeling that was communicated was the sense of teaching. You've got the sense that there was teaching and learning and new alliances and new collaborations of understanding and meaningful, inspired, meaningful intention moving forward in communicating. No, we don't want to live in danger of these pipelines and of these poisons coming to our backyard. we need to stop this now. We need to stop this now. We came as far as we could on this. But once you learn a truth, you can't unlearn it. It's kind of like when you ring a bell. You can't unhear it. Yeah? The truth has been told. We know it in our heart. We know the level of danger. So we have to respond accordingly. And people are. And they're responding in ways where where people are listening, explaining, and offering solutions. There are so many sustainable solutions. There are ways to create energy, to use the energy of the sun and the wind and the water, and there are many other energy sources. And First Nations are leading the way. So, and those are being very seriously considered and need to be supported as well.
Absolutely. It's also a part of the prophecies of the first people of the earth to be leading the way, and that healing, and I know that we're here, and you have really encouraging words for all of us to hear. Because I know that for myself, I was just thinking about how many things that I hear about what's going on, and Jane Goodall was talking about the planet, and she's around all these scientists and how close that we are for being done. But then you hear all these people working together that are moving more and more forward in a good way to help protect our all of our ways here on Mother Earth, and taking care of the water and coming together in all four corners of the world in this time that is really, it is where we are at the crossroads. We're definitely here, and we all of us, we need to work together in order to heal. And so I appreciate you taking time this evening, Rebecca, and sharing with us, and I hope that we will hear from you again.
Thank you. It'd be an honor. Thank you so much.
All right.